Welcome back to Storytime Tuesday. This story comes to us from Jess. During the pandemic, I was dating this guy for a few months and we were really hitting it off. One night, we were staying out at his place and started to talk about scary movies. That's when he opened up about a paranormal experience he'd had while traveling abroad in Spain. This kind of thing runs in my family and I've had my own experiences since I was a kid, so I felt comfortable enough to share a few of my stories with him. I was actually relieved when he didn't judge me and was supportive about it. Fast forward about a month later, and my birthday was coming up. He planned this weekend trip to Galveston to celebrate and I was over the moon. It was the first time a guy had done something that romantic for me and honestly I was head over heels for him. That Friday we drove down to Galveston. The second we parked outside the Airbnb, I felt something was off. The air just felt heavy. I grabbed my stuff to start unpacking his SUV when he suddenly told me, all excited, that the place we were staying in was part of a haunted tour. I froze. That's not something I would ever do given my background, but I tried to play it off. I told myself the haunted thing was probably just a marketing gimmick, a way to make money, and I didn't want to ruin the trip for him. So I smiled and went along with it. But the moment we walked inside, I stopped again. The room had mirrors everywhere, all around the bed, and that's always been something that's creeped me out. I know it's not exactly logical, but it's always made me feel uneasy. I'd even told him that before, so I was a little bummed that he didn't remember. He looked at me and asked if I liked the room. I didn't want to make a big deal of it, so I just said, the room's cute. I just don't sleep around mirrors because it creeps me out. He looked surprised, but I reassured him that it was fine, I was happy, and we got ready to go to the beach. A little while later, the owner came by to greet us and started chatting with him outside. The guy, let's just call him Justin, asked if we could borrow some beach towels since we'd forgotten ours. The owner said he had some extras in the main house and told us to follow him in so he could grab them out of the dryer. When we went in, he started giving us a little tour of the place, telling us about the house and its history. He led us into this sitting room, and a bust on one of the shelves caught my attention. Justin kept following the owner, but I wanted a closer look. As I got closer, I could have sworn the bust was looking at me. It made me feel uneasy. Then I noticed a small mirror on the lower part of the shelf. That's when I heard a voice whisper, "Pick it up." I shook it off, thinking I was just getting in my own head, and started to walk away when Justin came over. He said out loud that it felt like the bust was looking at him too. Then, he looked down at the mirror and said it was pretty. That creeped me out even more, so I was relieved when the owner came back with the towels. I practically sprinted out of that house like the Kool-Aid man. We got back in the SUV, turned on some music and tried to shake off the feeling we'd gotten during the tour, and by the time we got to the beach we were feeling way better. We had a few drinks, listened to music, danced and played in the sand. It ended up being an amazing day. We stayed longer than planned and missed our dinner reservation, so we grabbed a pizza instead. I wasn't drunk, just a little tipsy and tired from being in the sun all day. When we got back to the Airbnb, I noticed Justin's energy had completely shifted. I asked him what was wrong, and that's when he told me I'd gone off on him while we were getting out of the car. I had no memory of that. None. And that's not like me at all. I'm not someone who yells or gets angry when I drink. I'm more the goofy type, so I was shocked. I apologized anyway, even though I had no idea what happened. After I kept pressing, he told me to forget about it and we decided to take a shower. Then it happened again. This time I felt it. It was like I lost time. I couldn't account for what had happened and Justin got really quiet again. I asked him what was wrong and he just said, "You did it again." At that point I was scared and confused. I'd never experienced anything like that before. I could tell he was hurt and upset, but I had no idea what I'd said or done. He told me not to worry about it again, so we tried to move on and eat our pizza while watching Netflix. That's when I started shaking. Like, uncontrollably shaking. The kind you get when you dive into freezing water or get really sick. It was bad. Justin asked why I was shaking and I told him I didn't know. I said maybe I was just tired and should lie down. We turned off the lights and laid down in bed. Because of all the mirrors in the room, I pulled a blanket over my head and tried to sleep. Justin fell asleep quickly, but I couldn't. I was still on edge. Shortly after, I started hearing footsteps outside on the wooden porch. I was so freaked out. It felt like forever before they stopped and I finally fell asleep from exhaustion. But at some point in the middle of the night, I woke up to the sound of myself laughing. Like, laughing maniacally. I started crying immediately. I turned over to see if Justin had heard me, but he didn't move. I was terrified. I just lay there praying, trying to calm myself down. When morning came, I felt completely drained. We got up and got ready to go out, but I couldn't shake the fear or the guilt. I asked Justin what exactly had happened, and he told me I'd said things that were completely out of character for me. To make it even weirder, I realised that some of my memories from the night before weren't even right. When we went outside, I asked where the car was because I remembered parking on the other side of the street, but the car was actually parked right in front of the main house, the one they used for the haunted tours. I even remembered walking around the car on the grass, but we parked head on, and where I had gotten out was paved. Nothing like that has ever happened to me since, not even when I've had drinks. I still don't know what really happened that night, who or what I might have channeled. All I know is I haven't been back to Galveston since. Wow. I don't really know what to make of that. That's my first time ever. I think this might have been like a potential possession story, to be honest. I have no answers. I reached out to Jess as well and I asked her to share the location of the house with me, but unfortunately, she couldn't find it, so it's going to remain a mystery for now. This story really got to me, to be honest. And I meant to record it last week, but I have to do this really annoying thing every day where I leave the house and go somewhere else for 8 hours and they give me money for it. So unfortunately, I've been a little bit strapped for time lately. But what I did find interesting was the mirrors in this story are kind of linking to the next full episode of Houston Strange. And I'd like to know your opinion on that. I sleep in a room with a few mirrors. It's never really bothered me before. There used to be mirrors at the foot of the bed. I never experienced anything. But there was something about that voice, from the little mirror in the sitting room. I don't know. It's freaky. This story is freaky. That's what I'm going to say. If you want me to read your story, send it over, preferably on email because my DMs are getting kind of busy these days. So email me at houstonstrangepodcast@gmail.com, and that's about it. These stories are just nice little short, concise stories. So the main episode should be out within the next week or so. I am running a little bit behind. It's spooky season. There's a lot going on. Send me your stories. Show me some love and support on here, whatever platform you're using. Rate, review, like, subscribe, follow, do all that stuff. But most importantly, stay strange, Houston.